And at the time that Sherman made those comments, they were a middle-of-the-road team. But that's not for you to worry about. So what? We could be off the road. You worry about your team. Why you worry about what we got going on over here? That's basically what he's telling Sherman. And he's saying, look, you got issues in San Francisco. You guys are in line to get the #1 pick overall. And you worried about what we got going on over here? Because we win 2 of these last 3 ball games. We go into the playoff.
Yep.
Y'all win 2 or 3 of your last games. You're going to get out of the #1 pick.
That's correct.
So why are you talking to us? So I get it. The guy's going to defend his teammates. He's going to defend his locker room.
Yep.
Sherman need to let it go. Sherman comes off as being better.
He does.
That it happened, that he got released. And especially, Skip, because there are times that I'm sure Sherman in his mind is like, I played injured, I played hurt, and at the first chance that you get to release me, this is what happens. But, Skip, this is always what happens when someone is as outspoken. You remember I told you T.O., as great as T.O. was, the moment his play slipped a little, they moved on.
Sure.
And as soon as Richard Sherman got an injury and they felt they were comfortable enough moving on, they moved on.
They did.
Seattle is a lot better, Skip. I did not think they would be this good. As good as they are. No one had this team as a playoff team, Skip. Given what they lost defensively and with no running game and with the offensive line and Russell Wilson taking the hits that he took. And for them to be in the position that they're in, I think it speaks a lot to this team and the front office to put it together.
And we were prematurely handing out some awards to my Dallas Cowboys in the last segment, and now we should bring up the fact Pete Carroll's in the Coach of the Year running.
Oh, absolutely.
And John Schneider should be an Executive of the Year running because they have either rebuilt or retooled this team on the fly.
Yes.
I'm in awe of it because all they had to build around was Russell and Bobby Wagner.
Correct.
And it worked, man. And Monday night, that was a tour de force.
Yeah.
Again, running the ball. He had 72 yards passing, but it worked, right? And the defense, Bobby Wagner's playing at a hellacious high level. Yeah.
That's a better middle. It goes back and forth between he and Kuechly. Now, those two guys in Dallas, now as a tandem, his hands down is them. I tell you what, who give them a run for their money, Skip? You see they'll group up in Chicago, or Roquan and James Trevino?
You know what I think of Roquan? After last year's national semifinal, I said, that young man can take over games.
He can play.
And he is taking over games.
But why, Skip, and I'm sure you're thinking the same thing. Why does Sherman feel the need to comment about everything and all things Seattle?
Richard Sherman feels the need to comment about any and everything that happens in the world.
Exactly.
And as many people know, I had a long ago battle with him. I'm not the biggest fan of his. We've invited him again and again and again and again to come sit right here if he wants to. I think he lives in Southern California. I'm not sure about that. He's from Southern California.
Yes, he is.
In the offseason, he's welcome to come in here and speak his piece to us. But right now, he is speaking his piece back to Seattle because it feels like he left his heart in Seattle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
His whole identity was Legion of Boom, shut down corner, even though he's sort of zone corner.
Right.
And he got back. He was backed up by the 2 baddest safeties. I don't know, as a tandem. Has there ever been a better tandem in the history of the National Football League than those two?
Yep.
That was special. And so now he's taking pot shots back at Seattle. He had very negative things to say about Russell Wilson. And it's unbecoming of him because he is a great player.
Yeah.
I'll give him great because he played at a high level for a long time. He had, unfortunately, an Achilles tear, which is a rupture.
And especially
it's the hardest thing to come back from.
At his age. But, Skip, he should have known this. I mean, when you see, first of all, I don't care how great you are. You start taking shots at the franchise quarterback, something's got to give.
Yep.
And normally teams are not moving on from franchise quarterbacks.
Well, obviously, Richard thought, as did the other members of Legion of Boom, that the team got torn apart because of the head coach's affection for the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And he put the ball in the quarterback's hand at the end of that Super Bowl loss to Tom Brady and company, and they never got over it. As you insightfully said from the start, that was not the beginning of the end. That was just the end, right?
Because the thing is, Skip, Richard, they looked at it like this, is that Russell had the cachet to change the play. If he was a rookie quarterback, Skip Bayless, they call the play, you say, okay, I'm running with it. But in that situation, you say, nah, I'm audibling, I'm going to hand this ball to beast mode. That's why they didn't forgive him. They know Russell didn't call that play. They know Darrell Bevel set that play in. They also hold Pete Carroll accountable because he can hear the play being called in, and he could have said no turnaround. So I believe they hold Pete Carroll and Russell more culpable than they hold the guy that actually called the play in Darrell Bevel. And they never forgave Russell for that. And granted, maybe the head coach, but that's normal. Then you make it seem like the head coach doesn't show an affinity to any franchise quarterback. Of course, you can't hit it. And yes, they would try to pick John off in practice too because that would give the guys the bragging right. But John was the type of guy, if you picked him off, he was going like, okay, let me come back with my big guns. 84. He was like, hey, 84, 80, let's go. Because he wanted you try to show him up, you better believe. Even though I'm like, bro, I'm just getting a drink of water. I put my cup down, go back in there.
But it was 80, then 84.
Yeah. No.
88.
84. 80. They know 84 put that work in.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
That's not what I heard.
And that's what that's all I needed. Y'all talking today? Oh, I got to strike up the band on you. But Sherman needs to let this go, Skip. Let it go.
Well, Frank Clark struck up the band on Richard.
It hurt.
And I liked it.
Yeah.
And look, Frank Clark, let's be honest about this, he had a big domestic violence issue at Michigan that got him kicked out of Michigan, and it's why Seattle was able to steal him in the second round of the draft. He's become a force.
But he's playing unbelievable.
He's unbelievable.
He's playing his tail off.
Yeah. Every time I look up, there he is in the backfield.
Yes.
So he's become a force with Bobby Wagner, which has put this defense back on the map. But I don't know if it's my team now, he said. I don't know if Bobby's going to love that. But again, the point is, it's not Richard's team anymore. Right. His era is over. That's what I loved. His era is over. And then this is this is the kind of stuff I wanted to hear from Ben Roethlisberger going into the New England game. But he said, we're going to go out there with pure aggression. We're going to stop that run in San Francisco, and we're going to have fun on third down. Okay, that's the way you should talk.
Right.
That's Shannon Sharp Memorial trash talk.
You see, the thing is, Skip, if you think about it, when the Ravens talk, they say, this started with Ray Lewis. They still heap praise on Ray. Ray's been retired 5 years. Ray went to the Hall of Fame last year. So 5 years. They still heap praise on Ed Reed. But the thing is, with Sherman, this defense, they moved on. They don't mention him. Out of sight, out of mind. And
you know what? That is true. I mean, the Ravens still feed off the legacy built by your team.
Yes.
It is. It's still... It's kind of like, I feel like Ray just hovers over the defense to this day.
And they feel they got to play to a standard. Well, the Seattle, they still play to the standard, but they're like, oh, we can play to Bobby standard. Sherm, you gone.
Interesting. Well, there it is.
Get him, Sherm.
Go get him.
All right, one thing we can all
I would like to have him come in here someday.
Yeah, I would like.
Do you think he will?
I don't know. He's had many opportunities. Maybe.
I'll call Kyle. Maybe I'll get Kyle Shanahan to come. I'll call Kyle.
Richard.
You could do that. I'd rather have Richard.
Anytime.
Just me.
Right there, one-on-one. All right, one thing we can all agree on, that Kyler Murray is a phenom, but should he play baseball or football next year? Rob Parker comes in, answers that question, coming up next.